Budget Bunny here, and today I'm going to be talking about how we built the rabbit enclosures. Now, it's not just as easy as just kind of creating a false wall. There's a lot of work that goes into preparing and making sure everything is nice and sturdy. So that's why my father-in-law and my husband built this for me, because I needed people who knew what they were doing. I also hope that this will help to clear up any questions. I've had a lot of the same questions over and over again, so I'm hoping to answer those as well. The first one is that yes, the guinea pigs are in the same room as the rabbits. So you can see when we walk in here that we've just put the cage right there, and that was something that we looked at when we were designing this room. I wanted to be able to have the guinea pigs and the rabbits in the same area. The other thing is that yes, this is a room in the basement, which does mean that you have to prepare things a little differently, because there are different things like dampness and coldness that you need to be a little more conscientious of. So one of the reasons that I picked this room is because it has two very large bright windows. So I actually don't need to worry about lighting during the day. It's nighttime right now, which is why I do have the light on. But in the day, this room is actually very bright on its own, which was one reason that I absolutely loved it. For flooring, we did go with a hardwood laminate, but underneath we actually used a product called Drycore. So this is what Drycore looks like. So it's lifting your flooring up off of the damp floor. Because of all of these rubber pieces, the Drycore itself, which is a type of subflooring, doesn't actually sit on the ground. So if there were any leaks, the water would run underneath it and not wreck your flooring. And you can see just how high off the ground the flooring is because of the Drycore. And dampness on the floor was a concern of mine, especially in the winter, because I didn't want my rabbit's feet being on a damp surface all the time. I was worried about arthritis. Rocky is 6.5 now, so he is considered a senior bun, and we just wanted to make sure that being in the basement wouldn't cause them any problems. So the other thing I would highly recommend if you're going to house your rabbits in the basement is to have a dehumidifier. Alright, so lighting, a good subflooring, and a dehumidifier are just a few things that I'd really recommend if you are planning on housing your pets in the basement. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is kind of this wall. So basically what happened was I really wanted more of a living space for our rabbits. Instead of having some kind of pen or grids, I wanted something a little more fresh and clean looking. So I kind of gave my father-in-law the idea, and I told him I kind of wanted to divide the room, or part of the room, in half for each pair of rabbits. But I wanted it to look really nice, and I wanted to be able to see the rabbits. So we were talking about originally doing a wall the entire way up, but one thing I really didn't like about that is that would block the pen that's over on this side, which is Rocky and Honey's pen, from having any access to light from that window, which would make their side of the pen really dark, which I didn't want. And really, because of where this window is in the room, it would kind of do the same thing. So what they ended up deciding on doing was a half wall, and that way it feels a little more open in here. So the wall is just over 4 feet high, and there were two reasons we picked this height. One, the drywall that you buy by the sheet is 4 feet tall, and two, I wanted a nice good height that my rabbits would not be able to jump over. So the reason that it's just over 4 feet high is because I just had Mr. Budget Bunny kind of finish off the top. We didn't buy, you can buy like really expensive nice looking finishes, but since it is a rabbit room, all we did was we bought some baseboard trim and a 2x4. We mud and sanded it all kind of together, and then it gave us this nice finish. So the doors are a large sheet of plexiglass. All of our supplies came from Home Depot, by the way. I'm sure you can find all of these things at Lowe's as well. In our old city, we actually preferred Lowe's, but in our new town, we don't have Lowe's here. We only have Home Depot. So all of the supplies were from Home Depot. And what Mr. Budget Bunny did was he actually bought door handles, and he installed those on each of the doors. We have a 2x2 that runs along the wall right here, and it has these metal pieces right here, and you can see just along the plexiglass are these magnetic strips right here, and there's a third one at the bottom. Mr. Budget Bunny also cut just a little bit off of the bottom of the plexiglass because of the baseboard along the wall. We needed to account for that, so he just cut a little bit of an insert there. And then he's just run this rubber stripping along the bottom to create kind of an airtight seal at the bottom of the pen so that any mess or anything cannot leave the pen. And you can see when I close the door, the magnets hold it into place, and the rabbits can't get the door open because it opens inward. And you can see that the way that it opens is just with this metal hinge that runs along there. This is where all the screws are to attach that plexiglass to the hinge. So he actually used cord protectors. These are the solid plastic ones that you usually run cords along your wall or down in a corner area just to make them less noticeable. And he cut little tiny holes everywhere that the screws are, fit this over top of it, and then all I did was put a little bit of DAP right in here just so that there wouldn't be a big hole there, but that's all that strip is. And it just kind of finishes it off and makes it a little less noticeable than a whole bunch of, you know, seeing all this metal striping on the outside and a whole bunch of little screws all the way down. So I'm actually going to focus on Rocky and Honey's pen just because they're a little tidier than Ollie and Willow. So where the studs were to secure this wall to the main wall was not in the center of the room, and it was actually going to mean that one of the pens was going to be a foot smaller than the other one. And what we did was we actually found this piece of wood that was just an old piece from a shelf or something in the garage, and we were able to use that as an anchor to put in where the studs were and anchor this partial wall to it. So that's why Rocky and Honey have that little extra piece there. We did put mud all on it, a nice good coat, before we painted it. So as you can see, it just kind of blends in with the rest of the room, but that's what that angle is right there. So the next thing I thought I'd tell you guys about are the baseboards. I get so many questions about the baseboards, and don't your rabbits chew them? So my rabbits actually never bothered with baseboards. If you've seen my videos, they always have floor time and a living area or some kind of space where they had full access to baseboards, and they never chewed it. If you have a rabbit that's a chewer, there's a few things I could think of. One would be just to buy the all-natural baseboards and not paint them, because that way they can chew on them as they want and it won't hurt them. You could just replace them when you need it. Somebody else, I think it was Love of Pets, suggested like a ceramic tile, which I think would be a really good idea too, to stick on here and grout, I guess, around it and attach it so it goes up the wall a bit, which would make it wipeable. But like I said, mine don't bother with baseboards. They've been in here a month and a half now, and we don't have any baseboards chewed. They all look the same as when I first moved them in. And a lot of their baseboards they don't have access to either because of things in the pen. So the next concern people were talking about was the flooring, and isn't it too slippy for my rabbits' feet. If you remember their rabbit condos were tiled too, and many house bunnies live on ceramic or tiled flooring. A lot of people don't have carpet in their house anymore. Flooring is kind of the way a lot of people are going, especially if you have pets, because again, it's just, you know, kind of cleaner. It doesn't hold odor. It's easier to clean up any mess. So that's why we chose flooring for in here. And I also find that rabbits adjust their traction depending on what type of flooring they're on. So my rabbits get along completely fine on this kind of flooring. They do have their exercise time every day on activity mats that I cover with blankets. So they get lots of traction, and they have a lot of traction to fully run around and do whatever they want on that. But just in their living enclosure that they're in kind of overnight, we've used this flooring. So just to continue on with the flooring topic, if you are using flooring, you do need to have some different surfaces for your rabbits to be on and to give them relief. That was the other thing. A lot of people were mentioning sore hocks. I have 4 rabbits that have been housed on hard flooring, and then again have either had floor time on carpeted areas or an area with activity mats, and I haven't had an issue with sore hocks in any of them. So I really think that offering different mediums to your rabbits is the key. So what they do have are these large 16 by 16 activity mats. And because mine do love to chew activity mats, I've just wrapped them in a fleece blanket. So there's an activity mat here, but then they have things like their hay box that has like a nice absorbent dish pad that's foamy on top. They have their litter box. They have a bed underneath that has blankets in it. And then they have their tunnel there too. So there are lots of places that offer a different type of texture for their feet to be on. So size wise, each pen is 6.5 feet by 5 feet. That gives them more than 30 square feet each. And if you look at a rabbit condo, our rabbit condos were 6 feet long by 2 feet wide. So that gave them 12 square feet. And then because we had 2 rabbits housed in each condo, that's why we built them upward, so that they had the 4 levels tall. So what we've done here is they just have a smaller second level, but they have more floor space to work with. These guys do get about 12 hours of free range floor time every day. At our new house, we have enough room to have both pairs out on a different floor all day long, so they get tons of exercise, and then this is just where they come to chill at night. So any of the wood that you can see in this video is untreated pine. Untreated pine is a completely safe wood, and what Mr. Budget Bunny did for the ramp here is he actually bought, I think it's called half round. So if you go in the area with the baseboards and the quarter round and all that, they have one that's like a half round. And all he did was use a bit of super glue and super glued these to create little steps. And they have no problem going up and down this. And then at the top you can see there are large hinges here. And you do want a really good sturdy hinge for rabbits because they will put a lot of weight on this bouncing up and down. And then you can see I can actually lift it all the way up if I need to get underneath. Mr. Budget Bunny also built the rabbits these hay boxes, again with untreated pine, and I actually filmed us making these hay boxes, so there will be a tutorial for anyone that's interested. You will need someone who is over 18 and handy because we did use the big fancy saw to make these, but I really love these. I only have to fill them up once a week because we made them so big they hold a ton of hay. And we're still using the exact same litter boxes as before. They're just storage containers that were $4 each at Walmart. I think they're 14 inches by 22 inches, so they're a nice big size. And then what I actually did was just put industrial strength Velcro on them. So I've just stuck a few pieces to the floor, and then it matches up with little pieces that are underneath. That is just because my rabbits love to hop from on top of the hay box down, and when they would do that, the litter box would shift outwards and then everything would go everywhere and it would make a big mess. Alright, so I'll talk to you a bit about the second level now. So Mr. Budget Bunny did use the flooring on the second level just like he did with the first level. We just wanted everything to kind of look all polished and nice. And what I also had him do, these weren't in my original video because we just put these in last week, but I had him hang these little eye hooks, and I think there's about 5 or 6 along here, just because I have veggie balls and hanging toys and things. So I'd like to be able to put some things on this level here to hang downwards. I haven't done it yet, and we put in more than I actually need just so that I can also move things around as I want. So just underneath the second level, because we did want to make it nice and sturdy, we have actually built a support system. So it's almost like a little shelf for the second level to be on. And of course you can't just drill into the wall, you need a stud finder and be able to do this properly. So that's what Mr. Budget Bunny did. And then this support here is just because he used 2 pieces of board to make the L shape. That's just to make sure everything's nice and sturdy for the top part too. And even though they weren't really needed, we did add legs. They're bolted in at the top here, so there's no way that they can move or come out. The rabbits, of course, are free to chew these because it's untreated pine, but we just wanted to make sure that there was absolutely no way that this level was going to fall or go anywhere. And we just used some more 2x2s to kind of create a little lip on here. And then there's some quarter round that's just right here. That was just because we needed something to finish off where the cuts of the laminate are. So definitely one concern, especially with the additional level, was how high off of the ground it was, because we absolutely did not want any of the rabbits jumping over top. So these levels are 16 inches off the ground. We actually didn't even want to go that high, but Willow and Ollie do have an outlet in their pen, and we had to put the level above that, so we thought we would put them both at the same height just so it looked uniform. And then we've built the hay box just a little smaller so that it's definitely not any higher. I think it also really helps that they would have no idea where they'd be jumping to. And then I've also put, these containers are empty right now, but they are going to hold their pellets in there because I wanted things on this shelf to deter them even further. But I have never seen any of them try to even attempt to get over this ledge. It would be a major distance for them, and like I said, they would have no idea where they'd be going to. Alright, so just before I go, hi babies, can I come in please? I just wanted to show you in Ollie and Willow's pen, this is the outlet. We bought, these are child protective locks, so this is solid hard plastic. It doesn't move or anything. So that's what we did with the outlet, just as a preventative measure. And just before I go, maybe I'll just tell you guys my cleaning schedule, because a lot of people were wondering how I clean the pens. So I've always cleaned litter boxes twice a week. They get done on, hi boo. They get done on Monday nights and Friday mornings. Every morning I shop vac the pens out. Right now we've got a lot of hair flying around because they are shedding, so it is really important to keep the areas clean. I wipe down any areas that may have been, you know, peed on or a little bit of water spilt or anything like that. Rocky and Honey aren't really an issue with that, but Ollie and Willow are, just because Ollie does tend to spray every once in a while. Oh, that was the other thing I was going to talk about. So the paint color that I chose was Jamaican Aqua, but we did get it in a semi-gloss finish. And the reason that we did that was so that it's wipeable. Because if you get something like an eggshell finish, if you're wiping it down constantly, the paint can actually start coming off. So that would be another thing you want to take into consideration. Make sure you get paint in a finish that is wipeable for you. And then on Fridays, I do a full clean. So I just use a water and vinegar solution. I spray it all over the floors, and then I just use paper towel quick to wipe it all up. I change any blankets like this blanket here and the blankets that are in their beds. I wash out their beds, and I clean down the plexiglass so that it's nice and fresh and tidy looking. And yeah, that's kind of it. It's really not that much upkeep. I find it a lot easier than the condos were, just because I can actually just walk in and clean. I can just, you know, drag the shop vac with me. The hose fits in here fine. Oh, are you getting jealous? And then shop vac everyone out. It takes a couple minutes every day, and I have to do the guinea pig cage anyways twice a day, so I just do that when I do the rabbit pens. So the final thing that I would like to say is that this project was pretty much an entire room renovation. I know that my channel name and my website are about rabbits living on a budget, but this was in no way a budget-friendly project. We wanted this to look really, really nice. If you're looking for affordable housing, I highly recommend our How to Build a Rabbit Condo video. This is not possible for everybody. You would have to have, you know, the right space available for you and, you know, the right budget to be able to do some kind of renovation like this, as well as people that are handy to do the renovation like this. But I'm just so happy with how it turned out. Honey just loves to lay against the plexiglass door. I think between that and the flooring, it's nice and cool. So she often lays, actually she'll usually flop, and you can see her little white belly just hanging out right there, and it's so cute. But anyways, guys, I hope that this cleared up any questions you had about the pens. Oh, I just wanted to mention one more thing, because a lot of people have been asking me about Scarlett. Scarlett's doing really well. She's still in her other DIY cage, and she won't be getting her new enclosure until closer to the winter. That's just because Mr. Budget Bunny has worked so hard on this room for me, and now that fall is coming, we do have other house things that we need to get done before the winter. So we are looking at making her an enclosure similar to what the guinea pigs have, which would also be like Hopping Hammy's DIY cage. We're not sure where we're gonna put her in the house yet, but she won't fit into this room. I think she's gonna go upstairs in my office or the spare room, but when it comes time to build her DIY cage, then we'll find the right spot for it, because that'll also probably determine what dimensions we end up doing. So I just wanted to let you guys know that, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.